guys? Welcome back to the random timeline. We are now at the third game, the third random game, Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. This is going to be probably the most gut-punching game, much like the Canon V3. If you don't know what I was doing, I put all 48 students from the main games into a randomizer, and the top 16 were the Trigger Happy Havoc students, the middle 16 were the Goodbye Despair students, and the final 16 are the Killing Harmony students, which are these guys right here. If you don't know the rules, go watch part 1. I'll put a link up in the cards for you to see it. Also, before we start, don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications if you want to see all my content. Go ahead and click that bell. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Chapter 1. Monokuma introduces himself to the students and offers the first blood perk, which is the first motive of V3. If the Black End reveals themselves after the murder, then no trial will be held, and the Black End gets away scot-free. Except, there's a catch. There's a 48-hour time limit, meaning that if no murder takes place, then everyone will die. And so with that, several students go off into their own groups. We have a few pairs still together, most notably Makoto and Kyoko. Also Aoi and Sakura. But one student fell for the trap, that being Toko. She wanted to get out of there so that way she could, quote, see her master. Now, Byakuya is not in this game, and so Toko would have probably only heard of Byakuya either through the imposter or through something else, and would want to meet him in person. And eventually, the trap activates in the girls' bathroom, killing Fuyuhiko Kusuryu in the library. Now, once the BDA is announced, Monokuma comes in and announces that if the Black End steps forward, then they've accepted the first blood perk, and if they're correct, then they're out of there scot-free. But the Black End doesn't reveal themselves, and the first trial commences. Now, what is the case in Danganronpa is that the masterminds typically want to get the detectives out of the way as quickly as they can, as so to not muddle with their plans. That's what happened to Kyoko with Junko and Shuichi with Tsumugi. Both of them wanted the detectives out of the way as quick as they can. And so that's what happens here. Suspicion initially shifts to Kyoko. She could have been in the girls' bathroom and also set the trap. However, much like in canon, Kyoko blames Makoto for the murder. And so, Makoto pleads with everyone to reconsider, and everyone is convinced that he did it except for Sayaka, who pleads with Kyoko to reconsider. However, everyone votes for Makoto, and he is executed, causing him to freak out, asking everyone if they are all out of their minds, and he is executed for real this time. Two things happened that saved Makoto in canon. One, he was in Trigger Happy Havoc, the only game with a fake-out execution. Goodbye Despair and Killing Harmony do not have fake-outs, and therefore anyone who dies actually dies. And two, Chihiro was kind of Makoto's best friend, even though both of them don't realize, because Chihiro created Alter Ego, and Alter Ego is what saved Makoto in reality. However, in this timeline, no Chihiro means no Alter Ego, means Makoto does not survive this encounter with the Crusher, meaning he is actually crushed. After Makoto dies, the role of protagonist shifts over to Kyoko, who you are for the rest of the game. And Sayaka is absolutely distraught, and she turns to Kyoko and starts throwing insults at her, because she essentially murdered what was once her crush. Mahiru, the morals of the group, goes in between Kyoko and Sayaka and breaks them up, and offers the two to join her in a trio to sort of settle their differences and basically get over the execution. Both agree, and they form this version of the training trio. Chapter 2 now begins with the second motive being passed out. Motive videos. Each student gets a motive video. Now, these motive videos aren't necessarily their own, they can be somebody else's. Most of the students decide not to view their videos. However, a few decide to. And one of those is Akane. Akane got hers, which was to be an Olympic gymnast, and then pig out at an expensive feast when she wins gold. And so Akane, wanting to get out of there, decides to fall for the trap. She finds the ultimate imposter and has an argument with him. And instead of the imposter wanting to die, the imposter decides to become the leader. He argues with Akane back and forth until the BDA goes off and the imposter is found dead. Now, obviously, at the class trial, Kyoko, along with Mahiru, work together and out Akane as the killer. When Akane is caught, she runs out of the school and proclaims that she will not die in a hellhole. Although, unfortunately, that is the case, and Akane does die over a pole vault, which is actually a set of spikes. Okay, so Chapter 3. Now, Chapter 3 begins with Monokuma passing the Necronomicon motive. Any student can use that book to bring back a student of their choosing as a transfer student. And so, without Angie here, the Necronomicon becomes much less of a factor, except for maybe Sayaka, because she wants Makoto back. But the student council forms, this time with Aoi, Kaito, Kazuichi, Sakura, and Toko. And so, when Kyoko goes into the swimming room to check on Aoi, she's dead. Yes, sorry Aoi, you're gone. So, with that in mind, the seance begins. Sayaka really wants to bring Makoto back, and she convinces the others to do so. And so, the seance begins. However, Mukuro notices a creaking sound. Stealthily getting out of the circle, the group hears a clang. The lights come on, and Korekio is found dead. And so, when the class trial begins, we need to figure out who killed Aoi. However, things get even more complicated when Kyoko figures out that Korekio was the one who killed Aoi. But Monokuma flips the rules so that an execution can take place. And so, Korekio's murder is determined to be Mukuro. And so, Mukuro is executed. Mukuro reveals the relationship between Korekio and his sister, revealing to the others who Korekio really is. And so, nobody misses Korekio when he died. And so, Mukuro is executed via a one-woman army, similar to how she died in Redemption. Chapter 4. So, Chapter 4 begins with the key card motive. Before anyone can grab it, Kokichi swipes it from Monofani so quick that none of the others can even react. Kokichi goes through the death road of despair, and he finds out what's going on with the outside world. And so, to prevent the others from seeing it, hides it away. Now, without Mew, there's no virtual world. However, Kokichi finds that Sakura is a threat, and so wants to get rid of her. He goes to Nekomaru, who is not as dumb as Gonta, but he's still pretty naive. And so, with that in mind, Kokichi would manipulate Nekomaru to kill Sakura for the good of the team. As we all know, Nekomaru loves team spirit. He is the ultimate team manager, after all. And so, Sakura is killed. Meaning at the class trial, it's up to Kokichi if he wants to out Nekomaru or not. And, much like in canon, he does. Kokichi really has a thing for manipulating naive big guys. And so, Nekomaru is executed for Sakura's murder, causing Kaito, Kyoko, and Mahiru to be really pissed at Kokichi. And so, Kaito goes up to attack him. However, Kokichi dives out of the way because Kaito is sick. He falls, and Mahiru runs up to Kaito asking if he's okay. And Kaito reassures her that he is. Moving on to chapter 5. Now, in this chapter, Kazuichi and Kaito are friends, and Kazuichi shows Kaito the exisouls that he built. And Kokichi is also there with them. No motive is given here. And so, Kaito and Kazuichi head to the exisouls, but Mahiru, wanting to kill Kokichi, accidentally shoots Kazuichi in the back. Kokichi finds out and taunts Mahiru, basically saying that she is going to be the Black End once Kazuichi dies. Mahiru, in panic, runs to get an antidote for his poison arrow. However, Kazuichi gives it to Kaito, meaning Kazuichi dies. When the class trial happens, the case is almost unsolvable until two exisouls barge into the room, and who pops out of the exisol but Kaito. So, with that, Kaito is executed very much like in canon. He goes down wanting to save his friends, and so we move on to chapter 6 and the final 5. Now, after Kaito's execution, Kyoko finds new evidence relating to the first trial, and so she challenges Monokuma to a retrial where, using the new evidence, she finds out that Makoto was framed, and she essentially sent him to his death without any evidence, and basically without a reason. This shatters Kyoko's spirit, now believing that she is also a heartless monster. However, Sayaka and Mahiru pull her out of it and tell her that she can solve the case for Makoto, and that they will work together to solve the real murder. And so, with that, the mastermind is revealed with a sneeze. That's right, Toko Fukawa is the mastermind of Danganronpa V3 killing Harmony, at least in the randomized timeline. Using her alter, Genocide Jack, she reveals that she actually killed Fuyuhiko, and she thanks Kyoko for advancing her plans by throwing Makoto under the bus and getting him executed. Toko never really was fond of Makoto, even in canon. She criticized him when he criticized Byakuya, and she even wanted to kill him herself as Genocide Jack. So, there's no doubt that she would have done the same in this canon. Now, Kyoko is also saddened at the fact that Toko had essentially manipulated her, and she fell right into the trap. She wants to sacrifice herself to prevent any more innocent lives from being taken, but Sayaka and Mahiru convince her otherwise. Toko's already being executed, and so there's no need for her to die as well. And so, Toko is executed, squished flat by a roller press, leaving our survivors to be Kokichi, Kyoko, Mahiru, and Sayaka. And so with that, that does it for this video. I do think I should do one on redemption, but I don't know if you guys want one. If you guys want a randomized redemption, tell me in the comments. Speaking of commenting, don't forget to do that, as well as liking, sharing, and subscribing, and turn on post notifications for all of my content. That does it for this video, and I will see you next time.